There's a particular kind of shine that doesn't come from jewelry stores or luxury watch displays. It comes from a place far more hidden, where dust clings to everything and the air vibrates with the weight of machines. Before gold becomes a symbol of wealth, before it ends up locked inside vaults or wrapped around someone's wrist, it begins its life as a stubborn fragment trapped inside ancient rock. And stepping inside a gold refining plant feels like entering the backstage of an empire, a place where raw earth is transformed into something the world treats like perfection. It's loud, hot, and unforgiving, yet every corner is designed with one purpose: extract the purest metal the planet can offer. Long before a bar of gold reaches its flawless form, it goes through a journey so intense that most people never imagine the scale of what happens behind those reinforced walls. You don't just find gold, you chase it, you crush it, you refine it until the stone gives up the tiny particles it's been guarding for millions of years. This is not a gentle process, it's a battle between human engineering and the Earth's deepest layers. And inside the refining plant, this battle becomes a choreography of machines, chemicals, pressure, and heat working together with military precision. The first thing that hits you is the noise. Conveyors rumble like distant thunder, metal grinds against metal, and enormous rotating drums throw rock fragments around as if they were weightless. But this chaos has order. Trucks arrive carrying ore that has already endured the violence of drilling, blasting, and extraction. What is dumped here isn't treasure, it's a mix of crushed stone, dust, and faint traces of gold that the naked eye can't even see, yet every load matters. Hidden within these mountains of broken rock are the microscopic flecks that will eventually form bars worth tens of thousands of dollars. Before anything valuable emerges, the ore must be reduced to a form the plant can work with. Giant milling machines take on this task, pulverizing the material until it becomes a fine, almost silky powder. It's a strange contrast. The same rock that once held the weight of a mountain now collapses into dust, so light it rises with the slightest vibration. Workers monitor every stage carefully, ensuring that the grinding reaches the exact consistency needed. Too coarse, and the gold stays trapped inside shards. Too fine, and the material becomes difficult to separate. Precision here determines everything that follows. What makes this place fascinating is that nothing is left to chance. Every sample of crushed ore is tested repeatedly, its mineral content analyzed by lab technicians who read the results like a language only they understand. Their measurements dictate the next steps: how long the ore needs to be mixed, how much chemical solution must be added, how fast the separation tanks should run. Inside these rooms, science and engineering blend into a system that extracts value grain by grain. This is where the real transformation begins, a shift from raw matter to something the world judges as pure. And standing there, watching mountains of dull gray slurry move through the plant, it becomes clear why gold holds the place it does. It's not just about the metal, it's about everything required to free it from the earth. Gold demands patience, knowledge, danger, and machines powerful enough to break through the planet's toughest defenses. What will eventually shine inside a vault starts here, as nothing more than dust. Once the ore is reduced to powder, the plant moves into a phase that feels almost like alchemy, though it's driven entirely by science. Water is added to the crushed material, transforming it into a thick slurry that flows slowly through reinforced pipes toward massive agitation tanks. These tanks rotate and churn relentlessly, keeping every grain suspended so the gold can detach from the minerals around it. Standing beside them, you feel the ground hum beneath your boots, as if the entire building is breathing in heavy mechanical rhythms. It's here that gold begins its first step toward becoming something recognizable, not yet visible, but already separating itself from the rest. The slurry then moves into a series of separation chambers designed to isolate heavier particles from lighter ones. Gold, being dense and unwilling to float, sinks gradually while useless sediments drift upward and are flushed away. Even at this stage, the gold isn't visible as flakes or nuggets, it exists as microscopic fragments mixed with tiny bits of rock. But the plant is built to hunt what the eye cannot. Sensors track density changes, flow rates, and chemical reactions in real time, adjusting the machinery automatically to ensure the highest possible recovery. Precision is everything. A single miscalculation could send valuable material straight into the waste stream. When physical separation reaches its limit, chemistry takes over. Cyanide, a chemical often feared for its toxicity, is carefully introduced into the mixture under strict safety protocols. Despite its reputation, cyanide has a unique property. It dissolves gold selectively, allowing it to detach from the minerals without destroying them. This chemical reaction has been used for over a century, not because it's simple, but because nothing else has matched its efficiency. Inside sealed tanks, the gold dissolves into a liquid solution, becoming something completely unrecognizable, a metal turned invisible, suspended in a pale, shimmering fluid. Monitoring this reaction is a critical part of the process. Technicians take samples at regular intervals, checking the concentration of gold in the solution. They adjust temperatures, pH levels, and flow rates with the same care a surgeon brings to an operating room. Every adjustment has consequences. If the cyanide is too strong, it can damage equipment. If it's too weak, the gold stays locked inside the ore. The balance must be perfect, and inside the plant, perfection isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. Once the mixture reaches its ideal state, it's pumped into an electrolytic cell, where electricity begins to perform its own version of magic. As current flows through the solution, gold ions drift toward a negatively charged plate and slowly begin to form a thin metallic layer. The process is almost hypnotic. Over the course of hours, those invisible ions turn into solid gold, clinging tightly to the surface like frost forming on glass. This is the moment where the plant reveals its first glimpse of real treasure, fragile, imperfect, and still far from the bars it will one day become, but undeniably gold. In this quiet phase, the plant's energy shifts. The pounding of machines fades behind the steady hum of electrical currents and bubbling tanks. Workers move with a sense of focus. Every few hours they lift the plates from the electrolytic cells, revealing thin sheets of gold-coated metal. These sheets will soon be melted, shaped, purified even further. But right now they represent a victory. The metal that has been buried for millions of years has finally returned to the surface. Once the gold-coated plates leave the electrolytic cell, the plant prepares for one of its most defining stages, smelting. This is where gold trades its fragile, powdery form for something dense and unmistakably valuable. The plates are brushed clean, scraped, and collected into heat-resistant trays. From there, they're fed into a furnace that feels less like a machine and more like the mouth of a volcano. Temperatures climb past 1,000 degrees Celsius, turning the interior of the chamber into a blinding white-orange glow. Even from a safe distance, the heat seems to reach out and grab your skin, reminding you that this step isn't just technical, it's elemental. Inside the furnace, the gold begins to liquefy, separating itself from impurities that float to the top as a dark, brittle crust. Workers watch through small reinforced windows, using long tools to skim off this slag before it hardens. The entire process requires precision, timing, and nerves of steel. Melt too quickly, and the gold won't purify properly. Stir at the wrong moment, and you risk reintroducing contaminants. Every movement must be controlled and intentional, because what leaves this furnace will determine the purity grade of the final product. As the metal reaches its molten state, it flows like thick, glowing honey, slow, heavy, and mesmerizing. The furnace operators tilt the massive crucible with hydraulic arms, guiding the liquid gold into waiting molds arranged on a specialized cooling platform. Each mold is designed to shape the metal into perfectly measured bars, ensuring uniformity across every batch. Watching the gold pour is surreal. It feels as though the earth itself has been melted down and tamed into obedience, and yet the process is dangerous enough that one misstep could turn catastrophic. The molds fill one by one, sending ripples through the liquid surface that shimmer under the intense light. The moment the gold settles, the cooling process begins. Unlike quick quenching, which could cause structural flaws, this stage is slow and controlled, allowing the bars to solidify gradually. As they cool, the surface transforms from glowing orange to a dull metallic yellow, then finally into the unmistakable shine of solid gold. It's a dramatic transition, like watching raw fire evolve into something the world considers untouchable. Once the bars are cool enough to handle, they're removed from the molds and placed onto inspection tables. No bar leaves the plant without verification. Workers examine each one for imperfections, cracks, or irregular shapes that could indicate impurities trapped inside. Even the smallest flaw can affect value, so every detail matters. After visual inspection, the bars are weighed with high-precision scales capable of detecting differences smaller than a grain of sand. Most bars fall within the range of 1 to 2 kilograms, but the consistency is what matters most. Each piece must match international standards of purity and mass. The gold then undergoes one final refinement step, an acid wash. Despite being almost entirely pure, microscopic traces of other metals may still cling to the surface. A mild acid solution dissolves these leftovers without harming the gold itself, stripping away anything that doesn't belong. The result is a bar so pure it gleams even under low light, its surface smooth, clean, and unmistakably valuable. Only after passing this stage is it considered worthy of official certification and of entering the world as fully refined, investment-grade gold. With the gold bars now refined and certified, the plant transitions into a stage that feels closer to handling national assets than raw materials. Each bar is logged, photographed, weighed again for confirmation, and then sealed in protective packaging. The documentation is meticulous. Serial numbers, purity levels, timestamps, and operator IDs, all recorded to ensure full traceability. Gold isn't treated like a product, It's treated like evidence, like something that must be accounted for at every step. Security cameras track every movement. Specialized vaults beneath the plant store the bars temporarily before they're dispatched to banks, investment firms, and international reserves. These vaults are built like underground fortresses, thick concrete reinforced with steel, biometric access points, overlapping surveillance systems, and guard stations that operate around the clock. Inside these rooms, the atmosphere changes completely. The noise of machinery fades into silence broken only by the dull echo of footsteps. Seeing stacks of gold bars arranged on steel shelves creates a strange sense of contradiction, beauty and pressure in the same breath. Each bar might weigh only a couple of kilograms, but economically and symbolically, they carry the weight of entire institutions. For most people, this is where gold's story ends. It becomes an investment, a store of value, or a backup for national currencies. But the refining plant plays yet another role, supplying the raw material for the global jewelry industry. Not all gold bars remain in vaults. Many follow a different route, one that transforms them into wearable pieces of art. Once the bars are cleared for manufacturing, they're shipped to facilities where the atmosphere is entirely different. Instead of industrial noise and heavy machinery, these workshops blend craftsmanship with precision engineering. Here, the gold bars are reheated until they become soft enough to reshape, not molten, but pliable, like firm wax. High-pressure rolling machines compress the metal repeatedly, stretching it into long, thin sheets or threads. Each pass through the rollers makes the gold thinner, smoother, and more consistent, eventually reaching dimensions delicate enough to serve as the foundation for fine jewelry. The transformation is dramatic. What once formed a dense, solid bar now becomes a ribbon-like strip, capable of bending without breaking. Technicians inspect the material constantly, ensuring the thickness and texture remain perfectly uniform. These refined strips are then fed into specialized chain-making machines. Watching these machines work is like witnessing mechanical embroidery. Tiny segments of gold are bent, linked, twisted, and secured at a rate no human hand could match. Some designs require only a few steps, while others demand hundreds of micro-movements to create intricate patterns. The result is a continuous chain that feels almost alive as it emerges from the machine, flexible, luminous, and ready for polishing. But not everything is automated. Many pieces still require human artistry. Jewelers sit beneath magnifying lamps, examining every segment of the chain to correct imperfections, reinforce weak points, and ensure a flawless final product. These artisans bring something into the process that machines cannot: intuition. They can feel when a link is too tight, too loose, or lacking symmetry. Their touch is the bridge between raw material and emotional meaning, transforming a precious metal into something people wear to celebrate milestones, express identity, or symbolize connection. Once the chains leave the hands of the artisans, they enter the polishing phase, a stage that may look simple from the outside but requires absolute precision. Polishing transforms the raw, slightly matte finish of freshly linked gold into the smooth, mirror-like surface people expect when they picture fine jewelry. High-speed rotary brushes coated with ultra-fine abrasives glide across every curve and connection, removing microscopic scratches created during the shaping process. Even the smallest imperfection can dull the shine, so the polishing room is a place where patience becomes just as essential as technical skill. Under bright lights, the jewelry slowly evolves into something radiant enough to catch and reflect every flicker of movement. After polishing, each piece undergoes a detailed inspection that mirrors the scrutiny applied to the gold bars themselves. Quality control specialists use magnification tools to check for misaligned links, uneven surfaces, or tiny air pockets that could compromise durability. They bend the chains gently to test their flexibility, verifying that every connection responds with smooth, consistent movement. If a piece fails even one part of the inspection, it returns to the workshop for correction. Only when it passes every standard is it cleared to move forward. Gold may be naturally beautiful, but perfection is engineered. Once approved, the jewelry enters the final assembly stage, where pendants, clasps, stones, and decorative elements are added. Here, creativity blends with metallurgy. Gemstones must be positioned with extreme accuracy, since gold, while durable, is still soft enough to bend under uneven pressure. Setting stones requires a blend of strength and delicacy, a controlled force that locks each gem into place without cracking it or distorting the gold beneath it. This is where the jewelry's personality emerges. Two chains made from the same gold bar can end up looking completely different based on the design choices of the craftspeople. When the assembly is complete, the finished pieces move to the packaging area, where they are treated with the same level of respect as the bars stored in the vaults. Protective cloths, anti-tarnish linings, and airtight containers ensure the gold remains pristine during transportation. Labels detail the purity, weight, craftsmanship, origin, and certification number. From this point forward, The journey of each piece will diverge drastically. Some will be displayed in storefronts under bright lights, others sold to private buyers, and many will travel across continents before finding their owners. What's remarkable is how each step of the process, from ore to jewelry, reflects layers of human intention. Gold starts as silent fragments locked inside stone, untouched for millions of years. But once extracted, every decision shapes its destiny. Will it become an investment bar hidden in a vault? A necklace worn during a celebration? A gift marking a personal milestone? The refining plant doesn't answer these questions, but it prepares the metal for every possibility. Here, gold is given its identity, pure, reliable, and ready to be transformed into whatever meaning people choose to give it. Even after leaving the plant, gold carries the weight of everything it's been through: the crushing of rock, the roar of furnaces, the precision of chemical reactions, the craftsmanship of countless hands. Its shine is not just aesthetic, it's the visible result of extreme pressure, danger, and mastery. Understanding this journey changes how you look at every gold object, from a simple ring to a massive bullion bar. Each one is a condensed story of human ambition and Earth's hidden depths. Inside the refining plant, however, the story of gold isn't only about transformation, it's also about risk. Every stage involves forces powerful enough to reshape metal, and those same forces can turn dangerous in seconds. Workers move through strict safety protocols because the machines they operate don't forgive mistakes. Furnaces roar with temperatures that can melt steel. Chemical tanks contain solutions potent enough to dissolve metal. Conveyor systems run with relentless force, carrying tons of material every hour. Behind the precision and order is an unspoken understanding. Gold is extracted and purified only through constant discipline. A single lapse could compromise the entire production line or put lives at risk. The chemical section of the plant is one of the most carefully controlled environments. Here, technicians handle reagents that must be mixed with exact proportions, under precise temperatures and pH levels. Ventilation systems roar overhead, ensuring any fumes are pulled away before they can spread. Sensors monitor the air, ready to trigger alarms if cyanide levels drift even slightly beyond safe limits. Protective suits, face shields, and multi-layer gloves are standard. Every person in the room understands that the liquid swirling inside the tanks holds two realities at once: the promise of gold and the danger of mishandled chemistry. This balance is what keeps the refining process efficient and safe. Further inside, the mechanical zones bring their own challenges. The crushers, mills, and rotary drums run continuously, driven by engines powerful enough to shake the entire building. Workers approach these machines with caution, not fear, a respect born from experience. Maintenance is performed with lockout systems, ensuring the machines cannot restart while someone is inside or nearby. Even then, every bolt tightened and every part replaced is done with heightened awareness. The rock that enters these machines is unforgiving, and so the equipment must remain in perfect condition. Any imbalance, jam, or vibration could cause a shutdown with costly consequences. What's striking is how seamlessly the plant blends heavy engineering with delicate science. One moment involves machinery that could crush boulders, and the next focuses on measuring gold particles invisible to the naked eye. The harmony between these opposites is what allows the plant to function. Engineers review data dashboards glowing with real-time metrics: flow rates, pressure readings, temperature variations, recovery percentages. Each number tells a story about what's happening deep inside the machines. Small shifts can reveal developing issues long before they become visible, giving the team time to intervene and correct the system before any gold is lost. Beyond the technical operations, the plant also operates under strict economic pressure. Every gram of gold represents value, so efficiency is not just a goal, it's a necessity. From the moment ore enters the facility until pure bars are stacked in the vault, the plant aims to capture as much gold as possible. Even the dust collected in ventilation systems is processed, because traces of gold often cling to the particles expelled during crushing or smelting. Floors are swept, filters are replaced, and every tool that touches ore is cleaned, ensuring no fragment is wasted. Over time, these rescued traces add up to significant amounts, proving that in the world of gold, nothing is truly insignificant. The complexity of this environment makes the final product feel even more astonishing. Every bar that leaves the plant is the result of countless coordinated systems: geological, mechanical, chemical, and human. It represents a triumph of order over chaos, mastery over raw earth, and precision over chance. And despite all the modern technology, the essence of the process remains ancient: extracting something rare from somewhere hidden, shaping it with fire and effort, and turning it into an object people have valued for thousands of years. Standing inside the plant, it becomes clear that gold's purity is more than a measurement. It's a reflection of everything required to bring it into the world. Even after the plant's machinery powers down for the night, the weight of what happens inside these walls lingers. The air still carries a faint echo of the day's vibrations, and the scent of heat and metal clings to every surface. Walking through the now quiet corridors feels almost surreal. Only hours ago, these rooms were alive with thunderous mills, electric currents, glowing furnaces, and teams moving with synchronized precision. Now in the silence, the true scale of the operation becomes clearer. This place is a rare intersection between the planet's ancient geology and humanity's relentless drive for refinement. Gold has always fascinated civilizations, but witnessing its creation firsthand reveals a truth that most people overlook. The value of gold is not defined solely by rarity or demand, it's defined by the intensity of the journey required to liberate it from the earth. Before it becomes a bar sealed in a vault or a piece of jewelry resting in a velvet box, it survives crushing forces, chemical transformations, and temperatures hotter than volcanic lava. It passes through the hands of engineers, scientists, craftsmen, and inspectors, each one contributing to the purity the world takes for granted. When you see the process up close, that shine becomes more than a symbol of wealth, it becomes a symbol of effort. What stands out most is that gold itself does not change easily. It resists corrosion, it refuses to tarnish, and it survives where other metals break down. This resistance mirrors the labor that goes into refining it, a slow, deliberate progression through stages that demand skill and patience. Inside the plant, everything is measured, calculated, and controlled. Yet the journey still carries an element of unpredictability, a reminder that the earth gives nothing freely. Engineers may command the machines, but the ore dictates the outcome. Each batch behaves slightly differently, forcing the team to adapt in real time, reading subtle shifts in texture, density, and chemical response. Still, there's a kind of poetry in watching something so ancient become something so precise. The gold extracted today may have formed in geological events older than human civilization itself, possibly in the violent collision of neutron stars or deep within the Earth's mantle, and now, after millions of years hidden beneath rock, it emerges in perfect, standardized form, stamped and certified for global trade. A metal born from cosmic violence ends its journey in the quiet order of a vault or the delicate curve of a necklace. That contrast gives gold a meaning that no market price can fully capture. As forklifts carry sealed crates toward armored trucks, the final step of this journey begins. Once those bars exit the plant, they enter a world where they can become almost anything. Some will reinforce the financial strength of nations, quietly backing currencies behind closed doors. Others will be molded into investment pieces held by families for generations. Many will be melted again, shaped into rings, chains, bracelets, ornaments, objects infused with personal stories far removed from the industrial chaos that birthed them. The refining plant isn't the end of gold's story, it's the threshold where its future possibilities begin. Looking back at the entire process, from raw ore exploding out of a mountainside to gleaming bars stacked like silent bricks of power, it becomes impossible to view gold the same way again. What seems effortless in a jewelry display or a vault is in reality the product of a vast ecosystem of labor and knowledge. The shine people admire is built on layers of danger, discipline, science, and craftsmanship. Gold's purity is earned, not given, and the refining plant is the arena where that purity is carved into existence. As the lights dim and the final workers step out into the night, the plant returns to stillness. Tomorrow, the cycle will begin again. New ore, new challenges, new bars pulled from the earth's grip. But for now, the silence feels almost respectful, a moment of calm for a place that spends its days bending metal and machinery to its will. And somewhere inside those vaults, resting behind steel and concrete, lie the freshly refined bars, each one carrying within it a story forged through fire, chemistry, pressure, and time, a story that began deep underground and ends with a shine the world has chased for thousands of years.